coming out tonight. I know Friday nights at college are crazy busy, and we really appreciate you spending your time here with us tonight.
We love you!
We love you too! Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm Devin.
And I'm Lexi.
And we are the ChalkTwins. Lexi, stop lying to these beautiful people. No, did you say that have you guys seen us around before?
No.
Oh my gosh, okay. Well, we are actually identical twin sisters, and we have been working together as a group for the past 14 years as an artistic duo, and we work mainly in chalk pastels and create large murals, and we're going to be creating one for you tonight, or finishing up the last hour or so of it. And so we don't like to brag, but I guess we've been told that we have to say a little bit tonight, so.
Brag!
We are 17-time award-winning artists, and we have worked for a few dozen companies, and of which include McDonald's, Warner Brothers, Fiat, Hilton, all that jazz. So.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to interject. This is an intimate setting. Feel free to interrupt us for questions when you want to.
Yeah, we want to keep this cash.
Thank you, Club Down Under, for having us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you guys so much.
Club Down Under!
And on that note, I'm going to send you to work
Okay.
so you guys can see the process.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our origin story. A good way to start is the question that we get a lot is why chalk? And that is a good question. It's an unusual medium for people to work in and see. But we started by doing, I don't know if you guys know street art festivals, but in high school our teacher liked our work, and we decided to get put into those festivals, and we just loved the medium. We loved how big we could work and interacting with the crowd and working together. It was amazing. And once we graduated high school, we went to college, and we had the opportunity there to get our degree, to meet other artists and really have that group of artists to work on and jam ideas. But also, we thank you so much. Experienced more art disciplines than we would have at our actual college. But then we finished up. I got my degree in graphic design. Devin got hers in oil painting. And the dream ending for all artists came true for us, and we got dead-end part-time jobs.
Yeah!
Yay! Wait, don't think that's the dream.
Start of the dream.
It's the start. We knew that wasn't the end. We knew we wanted to make art our career, but we just didn't know what that meant for us yet. And so while I was working on that, doing that thing you do, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw an ad for a local anime convention's artist alley. And before I go much more into this, do you guys know anything about cons and artist alleys and that kind of thing? You guys do?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, we hadn't been to one before, and so we didn't know what to expect. We were new into the anime scene, and luckily we didn't get too far into college, because I think our grades would have suffered from all those late night binge watching. But we didn't know what to expect and what they normally look like, but we knew what we had to offer, and we asked the art director, hey, and we just told him to trust us, and trust us he did, and luckily he did, because people saw us work throughout the event, and they they really enjoyed seeing it because usually at these things and in anywhere really, people just see finished art and they don't get to see the process. But yeah,
What were you guys like drawing?
at our first event,
Yeah.
it was from a show called Blue Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the very first thing we did. It was actually brand new when we had done it. Yeah, and actually when we were there, other art directors or con directors saw us and enjoyed watching us and thought that we could enhance their con. And so we actually ended up doing a few. And we did some in Florida. And then we moved on and we were like, hey, you know, why don't we tried going out just a little bit. And we actually reached out to Anime Expo in Los Angeles, California, which is the biggest anime con in North America. And they saw our experience and our unique medium and knew that we could offer their event a really unique experience. So they took us out there, and now we're going to go back this year for our 7th year. And we built up a great relationship. And hey, Devin, do you want to tell them about our process a little bit and our beginning of our process?
Sure. Do that. Go, Devin. Did I turn it back on? I did. Yes. Right. So our process, we have a few different stages. We have the concept, design, prepping our surface, and actually like applying the chalk. So the first thing we do is have a concept, and that can be anywhere that, you know, it can be from quite a range where people are like, you have to do this, and you can't put a hair out of place. Like Warner Brothers, for example, they hired us to do a Harry Potter event for them, and they're very strict about their property, and so we suggested, hey, why don't we, you know, join these two characters together, and they're like, no, you can't do that, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, we won't do that. And then it goes to the other end of the spectrum where the convention or event that we have just has like a general theme, and they're like, hey, we want to advertise this weekend, or, you know, maybe a couple different things, and we'll let you have a go at it. And so we pretty much have free reign of what we want to do. And we were really lucky tonight to be given this image by Miles. It's a beautiful, beautiful image. We had to do nothing to it. And as soon as we saw it, we're like, oh my gosh, this would be beautiful in chalk. So sometimes we just luck out. But then the next step after we have a concept is to get a design. And that honestly is the hardest part of the entire process. You know, people see us working live, and but what they don't see is like all the hard work that goes down before the event. And what that entails is actually coming up with a good composition, and every time we come up with an idea, we try to push ourselves to, you know, this one's going to be our best design yet. And because I feel like a lot of non-artists don't know that design is the most challenging concept, or the design is the most challenging part, we decided to give our clients a lesson and teach them, like, you know, this is what we do, this is what we put into our work, and part of that is we always ask for a design fee, sometimes up to $1,500, and because people don't know, like, our time is worth something, and you know, a lot of times they don't see the behind the scenes process. So, but this takes just as much time, if not more time, to develop a concept and a composition. So we realize that we have to get paid. But also the main thing is about the design is that it's the foundation of the whole thing. So, you know, we could finish this whole piece, but if we don't have a good design, then we know that it's not going to turn out well. So, I like the pink that you're adding, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so we, once we have an idea, we'll, I say we, but I usually am the one that designs the pieces, and we'll have a kind of chat about what we want to do, and I'll either get on my sketchbook or get it Procreate in my iPad or Photoshop, and I'll just sketch out a whole bunch of thumbnails, and they don't have to be good, but we just want to get a general idea, and I'll work out all my ideas as much as I can think of. Are any of you guys like artists or in design or anything? We, as design students, we were forced to just do 100 thumbnails at a time, and we hated it. We hated that we had to do that, but it really prepared us for the real world, because that's what we have to do. We have to like just push out the ideas until we get a good one or a couple. So then we'll talk about it. We'll say, like, oh, I think we should combine these two things, or like that's a really good composition there. And we'll, after that, I'll do the final line work, and it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect, because this is just the first half of the process. But I want to get the composition right, and I want to get like a feel and a color palette. So I'll put like just general cell shading in, and just get an overall concept. So once we have that, we're actually ready to prep our surface. And what we have learned is that we learned that all artists prep differently. We used to work on the concrete, and we still do sometimes, and for that's a whole different prepping process, where we'll have a huge butcher paper, and we'll draw out the lines, and then we'll pounce it, which is like this. It's like this little sewing tool that puts little holes in, and so we'll pounce our lines so we can put it on the concrete and put powder down through the lines, and then we have like our drawing there. And we still do that today. We don't do a whole lot of street festivals now, but we still use that same technique, and sometimes we'll grid it, where we have a grid on our paper and a grid on the street, and we'll just say, okay, this box has this, and we'll draw out the lines that way. But we worked for a couple of years on masonite, and now we're working on canvas. We're working on canvas here tonight, and we found the best way for us to do this is to, once we have our lines, we don't want to do double work by gridding it out by hand again. So we use a projector, and we put it up like we have tonight, and we'll just trace out our lines that we've already made. I think that brings us to really just the actual applying of the chalk, right? Do you want to go into that?
To really illustrate the next part of the process, I think going through some basic frequently asked questions is the way to go. And one of the first ones that we get is, how the heck do you guys work together?
That's what I was thinking.
I would kill my sibling if I had to work together with her. Well, yeah, sometimes I feel like that.
Ooh.
But
Oh Lord.
very rare. Sometimes, most of the time, I couldn't think of a better person to work with, and I'm so lucky. But it's also hard to find a person that you trust, working on your art, because that's very personal. And we've had actually experiences where we've trained other chalk artists that were younger than us. And, we were all working together, and she was working on something, and Devin was like, hey, why don't you go fix that hand over there once she's done? But we also aren't just twins. I don't know if you know what it means, but we are actually mirror twins. And a big part of that shows is that I'm actually left-handed and Devin's right-handed. And we totally planned it that way. It helps a lot, with working on different areas and getting things done. And I think working as a team is actually really beneficial. I think, having two minds is better than one. And we get to, kind of work off of each other. And if Devin's working over there on that face and she's like, why does it not look right? I can just come over with my fresh eyes and be like, Devin, one eye's up here and one eye's down there. What are you doing?
Oh.
But, so, on the flip side of being twins, I feel like a lot of times that leads to us feeling like we have one mind. And that gets us into like art blocks together that are hard to come out of when that happens. But, we push through and get through it. Hi, thanks for joining us. And technically, how do we get this done? We like to work either top to bottom or inside out. And that is always our plan. But because we work together, we know that that's not always going to end up how it works out. We have come to kind of assign each other things. Like, I always do the skin and faces and that kind of thing, and she does the clothing, actually, like she's doing now. And we split up the background and the other stuff to make it an even process. But there was one time that we definitely didn't plan that out quite right. We were working at an event and we had like this castle in the very middle. We're like, oh yeah, we'll get to that, we'll see who gets there. And well, neither of us did. And we left that very middle for the last. And so we ended up having to do this little dance to get around it and yoga poses. Luckily, we were still pretty limber.
That was way back.
Way back then. So another question that we get all the time is, how do you know that you're going to get it done? It doesn't look like you're going to get it done. Well, a basic answer to that is practice. We've been doing this for a long time, and so we've gotten to know what we can handle, the amount of detail versus how big it is. And we actually are kind of suckers for detail. We love adding it. I take this piece for example. If we wanted to, we could have kind of made it more abstract, kind of gesture lines, and kind of just get the feel of it. But we like the challenge of making it a little bit more realistic. And so we added that detail, and we also usually like to prep the piece beforehand because we started out not doing that, and people saw just like those like little lines, and they just couldn't see what we saw and where it was going. So what we did was, even if it was just like 10% of the piece, we would get a little bit done. Right for this one, we got about 50% done. We knew we could get the rest done in the time given, but sometimes we get like 90% done. It all depends. But again, it comes with practice. And there was a never again moment that we had. We were at a convention, and we were like, oh man, we're gonna go all out for this. We're gonna add all the detail and make it bigger than we have been, and it ended up, because we thought we had so much time, we had 4 days, that's like so much. And then we got there and we were told it's a 3-day event. And so we had to have 8 hours that we had to like just, work overnight, and it was so hard. It was really, a learning experience.
Did you get it done?
We did.
Woo!
The people that bought it were like standing kind of over us, like waiting for it. So we were like crying on the inside. But we did it. We managed to do it. But on the other hand, we sometimes, there was one time when we thought we had a really short amount of time, and the event ended up being a little bit longer, and we weren't like taken away from our work as much as we had thought we were going to be planning on to. And so we made this piece like super easy and lots of kind of solid colors, and then we kind of had to like make it more detailed and just kind of add to it, though we weren't planning on doing that at first. And people also see that we do these huge things in a couple hours. And at conventions, they're used to seeing Artist Alley people doing like little sketches, and then you get it like the next day. And so they're like, okay, can I have my perfect self-portrait tomorrow? And you can, like Devin explained, there's lots of the prep that goes into it. We need to usually give ourselves about a month turnaround time so we can go through that design process with them and make it just right for them. And another question that we usually get is, how do you fix your mistakes? Well, we don't, because we're perfect and we don't make mistakes. I would like to say that, but we don't. We make mistakes all the time. A lot of times it's like little straight lines that we didn't see there, or the chalk dust getting where we want. And the biggest mistake that's the hardest to fix is getting the black off of the white. And that's why we usually go from light colors to dark colors, and try to work in layers. I know you've been watching us now for a little bit, and you can see that they've worked up that chalk. We don't want to go too fast and oversaturate, and also catch those mistakes really early on. There was one mistake that we did to ourselves by accident. Couldn't see it coming, but we were at an event, and we were hungry. We get hungry too. And we decided to have a working meal, and so we got smoothies. And we were moving around. Devin decided to move, kick her leg, didn't see her smoothie cup, right in the middle of the piece.
Oh.
I don't know how we did it. some adrenaline or something kicked in, and we just remained calm. We completely stoically cleaned it up and didn't freak out. To this day, I don't know how we didn't freak out. Our studio is actually not separate from our house. It's actually just a room dedicated to art. And we have wonderful, cute puppies. And they love chalk as much as we do. But they show their love in a slightly different way than we do. They love to lick it. They love to sit on it and walk on it and brush up against it. But so we're kind of used to getting those puppy paws out of there and, getting those lick marks put away. And, you guys, we're in Florida. It rains so much. Well, and we used to work outside a whole lot, and that's where we got our start. And you just, rains are going to come in Florida, but you also can't really camp for them. And one of the biggest times, that stick out in our mind, we were working for McDonald's, and we were making like a large 3D Happy Meal, and it was going so well. It was almost done, and then we were in Tampa, and the rains just opened up, and God said, "No, it's gonna rain." It was almost hurricane-like. It was incredible, but I was determined. I was like, "No, I'm gonna finish this." I had just a couple more fries, and I tried my best to finish the fries. And as I was working, the other side is disappearing from the water.
No.
It was a little heartbreaking, but I mean, it's a temporary medium, so what are you gonna do?
We're inside, so that won't happen.
Exactly. Go inside. That was our answer. We don't have to deal with the weather. And also, on the street festivals, I've seen people pass out. Legitly pass out from the heat. So
Are they all in Florida?
a big chunk, because the weather is so nice year round. So a good chunk of them are in Florida, and then the other big chunk are in California. Though there are some random ones other places.
Yeah, you would pass out in Florida.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's blazing hot. But also we had that background with the street festivals, and we knew they were going to get walked on and rained on, and that's fine. That we learned at an early age to let our art go and not care about it, and I think that was a good lesson, honestly, because not only did this medium teach us to work large, but when usually people like to work really small, and super detailed in a really small area, but also it told us we can let our art go, and as long as we get a good picture. That's our caveat. Is if we get a good picture of it, then take it, sell it, let it wash away. We don't care. And then sometimes we have people that come along and walk on it. And outside events, especially multi-day events, we've had strollers and tipsy people at St. Patrick's Day.
They're rude.
They're rude.
They're rude.
And
I don't like them.
Sometimes the events can taper them off, and kind of make a barrier, but we're used to kind of getting those tire marks out. But inside you think, oh yeah, you don't have to deal with that. Actually, do you guys, I don't know if you can see, but we actually have our piece elevated. And that came from that experience. We used to have it straight on the floor, even inside, because that's what we were used to. But we learned you cannot tell these people to stop, because what are they gonna do? What? And what? Just like ruin it a little bit more. And so
They do a little dance.
They do.
It's the I don't know what to do dance.
Ah, where do I go now? Just continue on. And we quell our anger, and there's lots of fun things we never knew that we had to deal with, but it's a great medium. It blends well. It lends itself to showing people in a quick way, because you don't have to let it dry. I mean, we truly love it. And on that note, Devin, do you want to tell them about some of our business aspects?
Sure.
And having art as a business?
Sure. Have a question.
Yeah.
So you answered the why chalk, but how did you both know you were good at chalk?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, yeah, we got put into the art festival together, and at first we actually didn't want to do the festival together because we weren't experienced in it. We wanted to actually go with, I'll go with that person, I'll go with this person because they know what they're doing. But our teacher actually put us together, and like, we have to figure this out, and so we just actually practiced. We took like, oh man, I want to make that color. So how do I make that color? I don't know. Let's take this one and kind of practice over here. And so we got used to the medium, and we had worked with it in school a little bit, but we kind of just dove in. And
It's true. I mean, we didn't have much experience before we got started in this medium, but we got started working on street festivals the same time that we got just in general interested in art, and so we were trying all these different mediums. Like, that's one of the things I'm so grateful for our art teacher. She was a sculptor and a glassblower by trade, and so she had this whole completely different experience, and she wanted us to just like try everything. I know, like, for you one time, you were thinking of like a project, and you were like, so I want to paint, but I also want to use chalk. But do they go together? And she's like, I don't know. Let's try it.
yeah.
And so
they do go together, and usually, actually, what you can do is like put paint down, like acrylic paint down. But it's so funny how her mind works. She dipped the chalk in the paint and then painted. Like, that's an interesting way to do it too.
I know, but we're so grateful for that, like having the freedom to experiment with mediums, and that's why this is the medium that we were just able to. We found ourselves gravitating towards because we were able to work together, and we've always liked working in groups. So I think that aspect just like really caught our attention.
Yeah, I highly recommend like trying every single medium you can, because you don't know what's gonna stick. And I I wouldn't have guessed that this is what we were doing as a career, but that's what we chose.
We had a fine art background. Like Lexi said, I got my degree in painting, and she got her degree in graphic design. And we knew that we wanted to do something in art, but we had no business background, which so many artists, like, they get pushed by their parents who like, you're not going to go to art school, you're going to go to business school. But I think honestly having both as a background is really helpful. To be a professional artist, that's what we've come to learn, is that we are creating a business. a business of 2 people in this instance. And so the first thing we did when we were starting our business is we looked around the community of the fellow chalkers that we had, and we were like, well, what are other people doing? And it turned out that a lot of other people were just hobbyists. They liked doing the street festivals, but they had a regular 9-to-5 job. And but there were actually a couple artists who were making a go of it and becoming professional artists. And but we looked at them, one was a teacher mostly, and one was focusing on street festivals and kind of diving more into that realm of becoming a professional street artist. And we knew that wasn't exactly the route we wanted to go, so that kind of left us with just starting our own path, which is terrifying and thrilling at the same time. We were really fortunate enough to have one of our family members is an entrepreneur. He's more on the tech business side, and which is the complete opposite of art, but the principles are still the same, where starting your own business is starting your own business. So we just opened up our own banking account for the business and everything.
And that's when we felt official.
That is when we felt official. No, when we got names with checks with our names on them, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's official. But mainly what we learned is just trial and error. We had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but just testing the waters, and every time we did an event, we would, at the end, we'd say, okay, what did we do right, and what did we do wrong, and how can we get better the next time? And we were sure that's how our business would keep growing, just experimenting. But some of the positive things that we've really enjoyed with having our own business is being able to travel. We personally made travel one of our priorities. And so for the first couple of years, all the money we made through our work, through our art, we put back into travel. And soon enough, because of that, we found ourselves doing art in Hawaii and Alaska and everywhere in between. And so we're really proud that we were able to actually visit all 50 states before we were 30. And that was just a goal that we had. And so we've done work in a lot of these states, and now I think the next goal is not to have only visited all 50 states, but to have done work in all 50 states. So we're working on it. We're getting closer and closer every day. But the other thing is that you've met such amazing people. We have, you kind of touched on it, we got to study abroad, and we got an artist community that we still keep in touch with today. But throughout conventions, we really get in touch with all the creative people in that world. And so we're able to have a community where we bounce ideas off of each other, and we are able to rely on each other. And because we're totally doing separate things, we're we're not in each other's way, but what would you do here? Or you've opened your own store before. What's the definitely do's and don'ts of opening your own store? And we drive everywhere with our art. We decided to invest in a trailer because we started out flying, and we quickly said, I don't know if I want to do that, because we took I think we had an event up in Grand Rapids, and we got our stuff, and then it looked like our art supplies had been eaten by dogs. somehow in the process of getting through security and everything. And luckily our art wasn't ruined, but they had like ripped open the box that we had put all of our art supplies in, and I think security's a little nervous when they see like a lot of powder and these weird materials and like a lot of cables. And like, what are they doing? This is really suspicious. So they like the security taped it all up and like threw it back in, and we're like, what happened? And
They did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked to the airline, and they were like, that's not going to go very far because they're going to say that security did it, and security's going to say that the airline did it, and you better just cut your losses. And we're like, okay, we'll start driving. We get it. So, but it's actually, we wouldn't have it any other way because we get to see so much of the country. We have a trailer that we've outfitted to fit like all of our art supplies. And because we're driving, we don't have to pare down anymore. We get to bring all of our equipment. So we get to bring, that means we get to go even bigger than we did before that. And but yeah, so we started staying in Airbnbs, and you know, throughout our journey, we've stayed with a couple in Chloride, Arizona, which is an abandoned ghost town. And they were living off the grid, and we got to feed their pet donkey and visit their abandoned mine shaft. We got to be really good friends with some park rangers in Yosemite National Park in California, and they showed us why they were so passionate about the park that they serve. And we ended up doing a Yosemite-themed mural for them for their house. And we met a Dutch family who had moved to New Mexico and started a little farm and a little like co-op. And so I mean, we get to meet the most amazing people, and some of these people we still are in touch with today. But the last like really great thing that we've had happen is just besides the travel, besides the people, the fact that we get to do art for a living and like affect people. I mean, had you asked us like 7 years ago, are you going to make people cry with your art? We're like, no, we don't do that. But we've actually had a few people be moved to tears by our art that we're doing live, and because they saw the emotion that we were putting into the piece, and that's just mind-blowing to me. But yeah, I mean, we pride ourselves on being like super open and honest, and we try to keep things positive, but it's definitely been a struggle as well. Like, we would be kidding ourselves if we said that it wasn't otherwise. And part of that is just, owning your own business is being a full-time employee. So there's no off the clock. There's no like 9 to 5, and then you don't have to bring it home. Like, it's always in your head, and you're always thinking about it. Like I said, like, how can we get better? How can we do the next thing? And between marketing and doing online fulfillment of sales, and updating our social media, and making sure that all of our paperwork is filled out for our next event, and making sure that we did that thing, and making sure we had everything filled out, and that we had reached back and emailed that person that had contacted us a couple days ago. All of that sometimes can feel like we're working more as a business than actually we have like the creative side of our art, of this whole process. So it's a really learn how to like balance, and that's something we still struggle with. Like sometimes, we try to say like we're going to spend 20% of our time marketing, and we're going to spend 50% of our time actually creating our content, doing social media and emails and things like that. So we have the pie chart and the schedule, but sometimes things go off kilter, and then late nights are pulled and emails don't get answered and stuff like that. But so there's that can be really hard. Taxes are really hard. Taxes. I know, like for most people, like you just kind of have to fill out a form and that's it. But being your own being a self-employed artist, like there's a lot of things that I didn't even think about. Like each state that we go to has their own taxes that we have to do, and there's a lot more forms you have to fill out, and so it's this whole rigmarole, and I told you I don't have an art background or a business background, so I definitely don't have a tax background.
Boo, taxes.
Boo, taxes. Who would do them? No. But we let the professionals handle that. So, but yeah, besides taxes and besides doing all of that, even with all of that hassle, like we still love doing what we're doing, and we wouldn't have it any other way. And we have our own business, and I can't imagine not having my own business. Well, there's certain times, Lexi, you've sometimes joked and said that I'd be like a really good like personal organizer, like the next Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love what we do, and sometimes like I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the gig economy, it's growing, but we're actually part of that, and I didn't really realize that until someone said it out loud. And I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, we are. Like like Lexi said, I'm really good at organizing, and I love like schedules and lists and charts and everything. And what I really had to get used to, being our own like freelance artist, is letting go. Just knowing that like sometimes there are going to be months that we are double and triple booked, and we have to say no because we're already booked for 3 other things that night. And then there are weeks or sometimes a month where we're like, all right, when are we gonna have our next job? And so I have learned, and I'm still learning, that like I can't get down. This is part of the flow, and that if I put the work in, eventually it's going to all work out. So
You're awesome.
thanks. So we have close to a decade now of experience with being our business women. Business. You own a business? And so along the way, we've picked up like some like things that we wish we had known when we were guys' age. And I don't know if any of you guys are going to start a business, but hey, we're going to throw it out there. And again, if you have any questions, let us know. But one of the things that we learned is, what we learned early on, is that we deserve to get paid for our art. That was one of the things early on that we decided, like, we deserve to get paid. And I know it's hard for artists and creatives for a lot of times because this comes so naturally to us to a certain extent. It's a lot of hard work and learning, but to a certain extent it comes kind of naturally. And so to put a value on your work sometimes can be kind of hard. If they're coming to you asking you to do work, they see value in you. You deserve to be paid for that. And you'd be surprised, like not only small companies but large companies have said, well, wouldn't you want to do it for the exposure? Like you're gonna have so many eyeballs on this. And actually, I cannot believe this, but 2 days ago we got that. Right before we got here, we were working at an event and a charity came up to us and they were like, hey, you probably get paid for your art, right? And we're like, yes. And she was like, have you ever considered donating your work? And we're like, yeah, we do that. We do charity work. Even when we were just getting started, we were like, it's just a little bit, but we deserve a little bit. And each year when we get more experience, we say, all right, I think we're ready to demand a little bit more. We've been working for this company for a while, like let's go back and renegotiate our contract. And so we just can't be afraid to do that, which leads to the next thing of don't be afraid to say yes to things. Fiat of Orlando was looking for live performance art for one of their dealerships. So we applied and we ended up being one of the artists that they chose for the event, and we said yes to that. And then someone at the event was working for Mini Cooper, a Mini Cooper fan club, which I didn't know cars had fan clubs, but it is a thing, it's a big thing. And they had an annual event where they got together every year at Disney World, and they asked us to do some live drawings there for them, and so we said yes. We had very little experience with doing cars. We'd mostly been doing people and stuff like that. We're like, yeah, we can do more cars. And then during one of the events at the Mini Cooper fan club, someone that worked at BMW asked us, like, hey, you guys draw really great cars. Do you want to do an event for us? And we said, okay, sure. And now, 4 years later, we are doing car portraits, which are, how beautifully lighted and backgrounds are for like your loved ones or your children or your dogs. People set that up for a thing that they actually love, which is their cars. And so we did that for a lot of people. And I mean, I didn't start out thinking that I was a car person or that I'd have a dozen cars in my portfolio, but here we are because I said yes to Fiat. The other experience, this is really crazy, and so you'll have to stay with me for a second. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the IAPA. It's a trade show every year in Orlando. It's the International Association of Amusement Park and Attractions. We said that we would try the trade show and that we would put ourselves out there. We're scared of marketing ourselves, but we're like, all right, let's try it. So at IAPA, we're having meetings with Disney, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, companies in South America, China, Canada, and so it's during that trade show with 1,000 booths at the convention center. Our booth got picked as one of the top booths in our category, which was a really big honor, but also really random. And so we kind of just left it at that. And So after a couple months, we got a call from a local news station, and they were like, "Hey, we saw that you won an award at this event, at this trade show, and that you're local. You know, most of these people are from all over the world. And they're like, you're in Central Florida. Would you be on our news show?" And we're like, yeah. And so we ended up doing like a segment on their morning news show, and we woke up at 3 a.m. and groggily put together a piece for them during their morning news hour. And so we were super nervous about that. We said yes. And then a couple days after that, we got another call from a local magazine that said, "Hey, I saw you on the local news station. Would you want to maybe do be on the front cover or like create an art for the front cover of our magazine?" And we said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So we did that, and then a little bit of time passed, and then we got a call from a local mall that was like, "Hey, I saw that you did a spread in a magazine that we get. Would you be able to do some art for us?" So we said, "Sure, yeah, no problem." And then we asked something of them, and we said, "Hey, can we have a gallery space in your mall?" And they ended up saying yes. And so for 2 years now, we've had a seasonal gallery space in that mall, and we're able to finally, outside of conventions and our online website and stuff, we're actually able to have a storefront. Like Lexi said, we work from our studio is in our house, so we feel awkward inviting people over for studio tours, even though some people have asked, we're like, "I don't want you in my home." So to have a gallery space is amazing, and to think that over the course of a year, because we said yes to a trade show we were terrified of doing, that all led to that. So, I guess the point is you never know where opportunities are going to come from, and we try to live that day by day, and just be open, because art really is everywhere in the world, and whether you're going to be building the next skyscraper that people are going to be living in, or people are going to hire you to create a mural for them, or to do a photo shoot or anything like that, or design a package. Art is all over. We teach little kids at events, and one of the most fulfilling things that we hear is, "Let's go home, I want to get my chalks out, I want to start coloring on the sidewalk." I'm like, yes.
Converted one.
But that kind of is our story. With that, we kind of wanted to open it up with a Q&A, and yeah.
So if you're growing up and the teacher puts the chalk, how did you get past that? The feeling of for me, putting chalk on a chalkboard is the worst thing in the world.
I get that.
Did you have that at first, or was it just?
I kind of did. And I definitely, obviously, I work with the medium every day, so I've gotten used to it, but
We wear gloves.
oh yeah.
I know that's not actually because of the mess. It helps for sure. But it's also because this medium is so dry. And we work on a really tough surface. We really like tough surfaces that take the chalk. So it actually really helps our hands.
Yeah, we started out on asphalt, so that's probably the hardest surface that you can get. But even with the canvas that we're working on here, we primed it with a pastel brown that makes it the texture of sandpaper. So, I didn't have a super aversion to the sound of chalk, though sometimes Lexi would scrape something and I guess over time we just have kind of gotten used to it. Yeah, I mean, so we kind of feel like Pigpen a lot of times, like in the Peanuts cartoon, like we're just covered in chalk. We have an aura of chalk around us. Well, yeah, so sometimes people will like ask to shake our hands and like, you want this? You know, we make do. Being close to Orlando's has really gotten us a lot of jobs in that sector because there are a lot of businesses and stuff down there. So we're only 4 hours away from Miami, so we've done a lot of business down there too. But we like Orlando. It'd be even more convenient if we flew places. We actually make a road trip out of it. We really like traveling, so we try to plan extra time to stop and actually see stuff because, you know, technically you can make it to California. LA, like 10 connects all the way to LA. So you could make it there in 4 days, but we try to plan out like a week, and we've actually been able to like stop at the Grand Canyon, and we try to visit like other national parks along the way to make it more interesting. So we drive all the Alaskan Highway, and we got stopped by a herd of bison, and there was this really random young buck of an elk that came out one day, and we just stopped in the road, and he like hopped around. He's like, I'm not sure what to do, and then he just stopped and peed in the middle of the road. And I'm like, you don't get to see that on a plane. And we've seen like bear cubs with their moms eating berries and stuff, and we did it! Well, thank you guys again so much. You know, we really appreciate it. You know, Friday nights are precious for college students, so you guys spending your time with us, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. To see any of this without their help, so we really, we're heroes. Thanks.